Chapter 1. In the Beginning. Long, long ago, a very big and beautiful land was empty. This land is now called America. Think of big mountains, tall forests, clear lakes, and many animals. Fish swam in the rivers, but no people lived there. This was about 1600 years ago. Around that time, the first people came to America. They probably came from Asia. They walked across land that is now near Alaska. These people traveled south. They became the Native Americans. They lived in North America. Other Native Americans, like the Maya, Aztecs, and Inca, lived in Central and South America. The Inuit people, sometimes called Eskimos, came to Canada and the Arctic. They came in the same way as the first Native Americans. But now, there are not many of these Native American and Inuit people left in America. Much later, in the 1500s, people from Europe started to come to America. They wanted new land and new opportunities. Soon after, the Europeans brought people from Africa. These Africans were made to work as slaves for the Europeans. The Africans had no choice, and it was a very difficult life for them. More and more people came to America from all over the world. They kept coming until about the middle of the 1900s. The empty land was now full of people. These people spoke different languages. Now, there are only 3 big countries in North America: Canada, Mexico, and the United States of America, USA. There were almost many more countries, but for different reasons it did not work out. About 300 million people live in the 50 states of the United States. These people are not all the same. About 67% are white. About 13% are Hispanic, which means they speak Spanish. About 13% are Black or African American. About 4% are Asian, and only about 1% are Native American. Most people in the USA speak English, but it is not exactly the same English as people speak in Britain. Also, many Americans speak Spanish as their first language. So, how did the USA begin? How did it grow to be such a large country? What is the USA like now? This story will try to answer these questions and many more. Chapter 2. The Pilgrim Fathers. The name America comes from an Italian businessman. His name was another Italian name. He sailed to South America around 1500, but he was not the first European to sail across the Atlantic Ocean. The Vikings came to a place that is now probably Canada or New England. They came from Scandinavia around the year 1000. But the Vikings did not stay very long. They went back to where they came from. Then, in 1492, a brave Italian sailor came to America. His name was some Italian name. He reached the Caribbean islands. He was looking for a way to sail from Europe to India. He called the Native Americans Indians. This is because he thought he had reached India. Of course, he did not get to India, and he was in America instead. When he went back to Europe, he told people about his adventures. Other sailors followed him across the Atlantic. Other sailors followed him to find new riches in the New World. Europeans also came to America to fish. The seas near America had many fish. However, people did not start to live in North America until the 1600s. The French, the Dutch, and the British all came to live here. The French settled in Quebec. The Dutch settled in New York. The British settled in Virginia and New England. Two very different groups of English people sailed to America. The first group started a town called Jamestown in Virginia in 1607. They hoped to find gold in Virginia, but life was very hard for them. There was not enough food. Many of them died during the first winter. Then a Native American girl helped them. Her name was a Native American name. She was the daughter of a chief. She became friends with the leader of the English people. She helped him and the other English people to get food and the like. Later, she married an Englishman. His name was an Englishman's name. She went to England with him. Luckily, something helped the town to survive: tobacco. It was easy to grow tobacco in Virginia, and people in Europe were starting to smoke tobacco. The English settlers stopped looking for gold. Instead, they grew tobacco. They sold tobacco in Europe. It may seem counterintuitive, but it was the only thing that would help. Soon, they started to bring people from Africa to Virginia. They made these Africans work as slaves. The slaves helped them grow more and more tobacco. The leader of the English people traveled north in 1614. He went to the part of America that he called New England. When he went back to London, he told people that New England was a good place to live. In 1620, another group of English people came to America. There were about 100 men, women, and children. They arrived in a place called Plymouth in Massachusetts. These people are called the Pilgrims, or Pilgrim Fathers. They had very strong ideas about religion. They did not want to live in England because they did not agree with the English Church. So they sailed to America on a ship called the Mayflower. When they arrived, they farmed the land. They also bought and sold animal skins. They believed that all people were equal, so they did not have slaves. Life was hard for the Pilgrims. They were often sick and hungry. Almost half of them died in the first year. But they had help from some of the Native Americans. One Native American man helped them a lot. His name was another Native American. Name: he had been to Europe as a prisoner in 1605. He had lived in England for a few years, so he spoke some English. He showed the Pilgrims how to hunt animals. He also showed them how to grow corn. In the autumn of 1621, the Pilgrims had a big dinner. They wanted to thank God for the food they had grown. This day was called Thanksgiving. Americans still celebrate Thanksgiving every year. It is on the fourth Thursday of November. It is one of the most important holidays of the year. People often travel long distances to be with their families. They eat a big dinner with foods that the Pilgrim Fathers found in America: turkey and pumpkin pie. Chapter 3: The War of Independence. More and more British people came to live on the east coast of North America. They started new towns and colonies in the 1600s. Over the next century, as time went on, even more colonies were settled along the eastern seaboard. When the British took New York and Delaware from the Dutch, it extended their reach and control of the colonies. By 1770, there were 13 colonies along the east coast of North America. These colonies belonged to Britain and were ruled by Britain from far away. Britain was very far away from America. The people in the colonies started to get angry. The British government made them pay high taxes. In December 1773, a group of men did something to show they were angry. They threw boxes of tea into the sea in Boston. They did not want to pay the British tax on the tea. This event is called the Boston Tea Party. The British government was angry. In April 1775, some Americans fought with British soldiers. The fighting happened in the towns of Lexington and Concord, near Boston. More and more Americans came to fight. The British soldiers had to go back to Boston. A few months later, there was a battle near Boston. It was clear that Britain was at war with its American colonies. A rich farmer from Virginia became the leader of the American army. His name was Important Virginia Farmer. People tell a story about him. The story shows that he was an honest man. The story says that when he was a boy, he cut down a tree. This made his father angry. But when his father asked him about it, he told the truth. He said, "I cannot tell a lie. I cut down the tree." At first, the colonies did not say they wanted to be completely independent, but in the summer of 1776, they changed their minds. A man wrote a famous paper called the Declaration of Independence. His name was another man's name. In the Declaration, he said that the British king was not a good king. He said the king had not let the American people have their rights. These rights are the right to life, the right to freedom, and the right to happiness. The day the Declaration of Independence was signed is now an important American holiday. It is on the 4th of July. The Americans finally won the war in October 1781. 2 years later, they were free to rule themselves. In 1789, they chose a leader. This leader was the first president of the United States. His name was the Important Virginia Farmer. He didn't want to become president. He would rather have gone back to his farm and had a quiet life. But he stayed as president until 1797. He died in 1799, 2 years after he went back home. The names United States of America and American were first used during the War of Independence. The 13 colonies became the first 13 states of the United States. In 1803, the third president bought a big piece of land from France. His name was the third president. The land was in the Midwest. It was 5 times as big as France, and it only cost $15 million. The third president sent 2 brave men to explore the land. Their names were Brave Man 1 and Brave Man 2. They traveled all the way to the Pacific Ocean. A young Native American woman helped them. Her name was another Native American name. The 2 men traveled many kilometers between 1804 and 1806. They found many animals, plants, and fish that Europeans had never seen before. They made maps of the rivers, mountains, and land they crossed. In 1819, the USA bought Florida from Spain. The United States was now twice as big as it had been in 1781. By 1848, the USA had grown again. It had won Texas and the Southwest from Mexico. Now the USA has reached all the way from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean. Finally, the American government bought land from Russia in 1867. The land was northwest of Canada. It became the state of Alaska in 1959. The American flag first appeared during the War of Independence. It has a stripe for each of the first 13 states. A star was added every time a new state joined the USA. Now, there are 50 stars on the flag. The last star was added when the islands of Hawaii became the 50th state. Hawaii is in the Pacific Ocean. It is far away from the other states. Chapter 4: The Civil War. The young country grew quickly. By the middle of the 1800s, it had 31 million people. But there were big differences between the North and the South. In 1861, a terrible war started. This was called the Civil War. Many people died in the battles or from disease, at least 600,000. The war started because the southern states had slaves. The slaves worked in the cotton fields. However, slaves were not allowed in the North. People from the South wanted to have slaves in the new lands of the West. People from the North did not want this. In 1860, a new president was elected. His name was the new president. He was against slavery. He didn't want other people to have slaves. On Christmas Day, one of the southern states said it wanted to be independent. The other southern states soon followed. They all wanted to be their own country because they wanted to continue having slaves. The fighting began in April 1861. The South had good soldiers. One famous soldier was an important soldier. They also had money from selling cotton to Britain. But the North had more men and more factories. They also had a new president. Many think he was one of the best presidents the USA has ever had. He was born on a farm, but he worked hard to learn. He spoke about freedom and rights. One very important battle was won by the North. It was the Battle of Gettysburg. The new president spoke there after the battle. He talked about the brave soldiers who had died. This speech is called the Gettysburg Address. It has famous words: government of the people, by the people. Two famous soldiers helped the North to win the war. One soldier is remembered. There is a song about him. The song tells the story of how he took his soldiers on a long journey. He cut a wide path through the southern states. This made it hard for the South to fight the North. After the war, Remembered became the head of the American Army. Important Soldier 2 represented the North when the South accepted defeat. He was very fair to the Southern soldiers. They did not have to go to prison. Some years later, he became president. Sadly, in April 1865, the new president was shot at the theater. He was killed by a man who hated him and was angry about the war. After the president died, the new president was not strong enough to bring the North and the South together. People kept arguing about the rights of black people. During the Civil War, a female author wrote a famous book. It was about a family of 4 girls. They lived at home with their mother while their father was away at war. Another very famous book, and later a film, is an epic novel. It tells the story of a rich girl. She lived comfortably in the South, but her life was destroyed by the war. Chapter 5: The Wild West. During the 1800s, more and more people went to live in the West. The Wild West is a place you can see in films. It is full of cowboys, Native Americans, and fighting. But there were not many cowboys in reality. They did not often shoot each other or fight Native Americans. They worked hard taking care of cows. Many of them were black or Mexican. The cowboys took cows from Texas to the towns in Kansas and Missouri. From there, the cows were sent to Chicago to be killed. The meat was sent to the east and sold. The cowboys almost disappeared after about 30 years. This is because the government gave the land to farmers. From 1862 to 1900, many farmers came to live in the West. They made new farms and grew food. One family moved west was a fictional family. Their daughter told the story of their journey in books like Little House on the Prairie. Life was very hard for these farmers. It was especially hard in winter. The farms were very lonely. But soon the railways helped to bring people together. In 1869, the railway line from the east met the line from the west. Now, Americans could travel across the USA by train. Before the railway, the post was carried across the country by horses. It was carried by brave riders. They waited in different places. One man rode with a bag of letters for many kilometers. Then he gave it to the next man. In this way, letters only took about 10 days to cross the country. This system was called the Pony Express. One very well-known writer was famous name. He later became a soldier and a hunter. People said he killed many buffalo in 1 year. In the 1880s, famous name started his Wild West show. It was a kind of traveling theater. It had a famous cowgirl. Chapter 6. Native Americans. There were many Native Americans in North America when the Europeans arrived. They belonged to many different groups. They spoke thousands of different languages. Sadly, the Europeans fought and killed many Native Americans. They also brought diseases that killed them. A film shows the sad story of the Native Americans. The Native Americans lived in the West. They were the Cheyenne, the Blackfoot, and the Sioux. There were many buffalo in North America. The Native Americans hunted them. They used them for food, clothes, houses, knives, and other things. But when the Europeans arrived, they wanted to take the land for farms and railways. They shot millions of buffalo. By 1900, there were very few buffalo left in the USA. And there were very few Native Americans left. An important Native American fought against the white men. The white men wanted to move his people from their own land to land further west. He won an important battle, but he could not win the war. The Indian Wars ended with a battle. American soldiers killed many Native American men, women, and children. After this, Native Americans had to live in special places. These places are called reservations. Even today, many Native Americans live on reservations. They are often very poor and do not have jobs. Some Native Americans build casinos. People can go there to win money. This brings money to the reservations. Other groups refuse to do this. They also do not allow alcohol on their reservations. Many of the big reservations are in the Southwest. This is the home of a different type of Native American. The Hopi and the Zuni live there. They keep sheep, make pots, and make beautiful jewelry. Their religion is very important to them. Their dances often have a religious meaning. They make beautiful religious pictures. The biggest reservation is nearly 6,500 square kilometers. The Navajo people live there. They make wonderful colored blankets. The Navajo language is very unusual. During the Second World War, the American Army used Navajo soldiers to send secret radio messages. The enemy could not understand the messages. Chapter 7. New Americans. At the beginning of the 1800s, most American families came from Britain, Germany, and Scandinavia. They were farmers or business people. But soon, things changed. Factories were built and cities grew. Poor people arrived from other countries. They hoped to find work. Between 1840 and 1900, many people came from Ireland. Many more came from Italy, and millions more came from Russia, Poland, and other countries of Eastern Europe. They were hoping to find jobs and freedom. America kept an open door. Many people arrived between 1880 and 1930. They were often poor. They had different religions. They had not been to school for very long. There was a lot of prejudice against them. Immigrants from Europe arrived at an island in New York. There they were checked for disease and other problems. Close to this island is a statue. It represents freedom. On it are these famous words, "Give me your tired, your poor." The statue welcomed the poor immigrants. They hoped for a happier life in the USA. The Chinese immigrants who arrived in the West also found prejudice. Many people came to live in California after gold was found there. Among them were many Chinese. The Chinese stayed to work building the new railways. Like Black people and Native Americans, the Chinese had no civil rights. They were not allowed to enter the USA. But in the 1900s, Chinese people started to arrive again. Now, the cities on the West Coast have many Chinese families. A female writer tells stories about Chinese American families. Today, most immigrants to the USA come from Spanish-speaking countries like Mexico. Spanish has become the second language of the United States. The immigrants usually stayed in the big cities of the East or the Midwest. They worked in the factories. They learned English and became Americans. But they also wanted to keep their own way of life. So, in many cities you can find places where the food is Italian or Chinese. And every year these immigrants have the opportunity to celebrate their cultures and traditions. Chapter 8. Black Americans. Today, about 39 million people in the USA are Black. They used to live mostly in the South. They worked in the cotton and tobacco fields. The book tells the story of the hard life of slaves. It was very popular. It made a lot of people see that keeping slaves was wrong. It told the story of how a slave family escaped. There were important African Americans who helped other slaves to escape. They used to escape and return to take others to freedom. An important African American helped many other slaves to escape from the South to the North. He understood that to be free, he needed to learn to read and write. He wrote a book about his life. He traveled to Europe to speak about slavery. Later he returned to New York and started newspapers. During the Civil War, he told Black men to join the army to fight for the North. After the war, he worked for the government. An important African American, too, also helped many other slaves to escape. After the Civil War, white Southerners were angry that they had lost the war. They were also angry that slaves were now free. They showed a lot of prejudice against Black people. Some white people joined groups. These groups beat and murdered Black people. Black men could not vote until 1870. Even after they got the right to vote, they often did not use it because they were frightened. A novel tells the story of a Black man in the 1930s. Although he has done nothing wrong, people believe he is a criminal just because he is Black. In the 1900s, Black people began to travel to the cities of the north to look for work. So, there are now more Black people in the north than in the south. But even in the north, they lived separately. In the south, they had to sit separately on buses and eat in separate parts of restaurants. They also had to go to different schools. Then, in the 1950s, a religious man began to fight for the civil rights of Black people. Groups of Black people started to break the law, but they did not use violence. In 1955, a woman became famous when she refused to give her seat on a bus to a white man. Then, more Black people refused to use the buses. The bus companies lost a lot of money. Black people also started to go into whites-only restaurants. In August 1963, many people met in Washington. They heard a religious man speak about the need for Black people to be equal with white people. He began with these words, "I have a dream." Finally, in 1964, a law was passed that gave Black people their rights. Religious man was given the Nobel Peace Prize. But in 1968, he was murdered. The fighting started in many cities during the 1970s and 1980s. Prejudice against Black people slowly began to disappear. Many Black people now have good jobs. They are in business and government. But there are still problems. When Hurricane Katrina destroyed a city in 2005, most of the people who lost their houses were Black. Many of them waited a long time for help from the government. Some think that they were treated this way because they were Black. Chapter 9. The Government of the USA. The government of the USA has 3 parts. These are called the 3 branches. These parts are separate, but they are equal. The 3 parts are Congress, the President, and the Supreme Court. Women got the right to vote in 1920. All Americans can now vote when they are 18.
There are some rights that all Americans have. For example, they have the right to speak freely. Congress makes the laws. There are 2 parts to Congress, the Senate and the House of Representatives. There are 100 people in the Senate. Each state sends 2 people to the Senate. They are elected for 6 years. There are 435 people in the House of Representatives. They are elected for 2 years. The states with more people have more representatives. The states that do not have many people have only 1 representative. The president is elected by votes from each state. A state has the same number of votes as the number of its representatives and senators. The states with the most people are very important. The president is the most important person in the government. He is the leader of the country, like a king or queen. He is also the head of the army.
He is elected for 4 years. No one can be president for more than 8 years. He can say no to laws passed by Congress. But Congress can also say no to him. He chooses the judges for the Supreme Court. He lives and works in the White House. The White House is in a city. The Supreme Court is the most important court in the country. It has 9 judges. Their job is to decide what the laws mean. They can also say that a law made by Congress is wrong. They can also say that the president has done something wrong. Each state also has its own government. Laws can be different from one state to the next. For example, the laws about how old you must be to get married or drive a car can be different. Different states punish criminals differently. Some islands are associated with America but are not technically part of the U.S.
There are two important political groups in the USA. They are called the Republicans and the Democrats. The Republicans want people to work to help themselves. They think that taxes should be low. The Democrats think that the government should help the poor. They think that taxes need to be high.
Americans are happy that they do not have a king or queen. They say that anyone can become president. But you need a lot of money to tell people about yourself and your ideas. So, it is easier to become president if you come from a rich family. Chapter 10. Living in the USA. Many people who have never been to the USA know about it from films and TV programs. What is life in America really like? Most Americans who have jobs live comfortably. They work about 40 hours a week. They have some weeks of holiday a year, as well as holidays like Thanksgiving and Christmas. In most families, both the husband and the wife work. Although more than 40% of the land is farmed, not many people work as farmers. Fewer Americans work in factories than in the past. Most jobs are now in places like hospitals, banks, hotels, and shops. If you do not have a job, life is hard. The government gives you a little money, but it is not enough to buy everything you need. Many Americans are poor, but most people are able to work and have a comfortable life. The money in the USA is called the dollar. $1 contains 100 cents. Some coins have special names. 5 cents is called a nickel, 10 cents is called a dime, and 25 cents is called a quarter. In restaurants and other places, people give extra money on top of the price. This is called a tip. Without this extra money, many workers do not have enough money to live on. Americans do not use kilograms and kilometers. Instead, they use pounds and miles. They also write dates differently from other people. Sadly, everyone learned about how Americans write the date in one day. That date is remembered as 9/11. Because the USA is such a big country, the time changes as you travel from one side to the other. When it is 12 in New York, it is a different time in all different American time zones. Most Americans own their homes. Often they have a garden. Almost all families have a car. Most Americans drive to work. They also use their car to go to drive-in restaurants, coffee shops, or even banks. An inventor who made famous cars was born in the 19th century. He invented the Model T. It was the first car that was cheap enough for ordinary people. Anyone can drive a Model T, they said. Now, many Americans drive very big cars called SUVs. The USA does not have a state religion. No religion is allowed in schools. Instead, every morning, American students make a promise to the American flag. But many Americans belong to a church. Religion is important, especially in the South. Some churches are just for Black people. Black men have worked hard for the rights of Black people. One religious group has strong ideas about how to dress. They are against alcohol and tobacco. If Americans do not want to go out, they can stay home and watch television. Almost all families have a TV. Many people have the opportunity to watch shows that show their cultures and stories. There are many TV stations. Most of them belong to businesses, not to the government. American TV programs are sold all over the world. There are many newspapers, but most of them are just for one city. Some newspapers are read and sold throughout the whole of the USA. Americans also love to shop. The supermarket was first created in America. Now, many shops are open 24 hours a day. Some of the biggest shopping centers in the world are in the USA. One large shopping center is large enough to fit over 30 planes inside. Americans have to pay if they go to a doctor or to hospital, but they do not usually pay to go to school. Everyone goes to school for about 12 years. The years are called grades. In many places, everyone goes to school and has the opportunity to gain knowledge. Films have shown what life is like at an American high school. Many students finish high school and study for another 2 or 4 years. There are some great places to study in the USA.
Most Americans enjoy sports. Baseball, basketball, and football are popular. My favorite sport in the USA is baseball.
A film tells the story of a farmer who dreams of a baseball team. He makes a baseball field on his farm. Baseball is played by 2 teams. Each team has people who try to get all the way around the square before the other team can get the ball to a corner. Then, it is the turn of the second team to hit the ball. Some famous teams. Perhaps the greatest baseball player in history was a baseball player. He was a star athlete who played for some of the most famous teams in baseball. Chapter 11. Eating and Drinking the American Way. What do Americans eat? American fast food is sold in restaurants in almost every country in the world. The most famous examples are hamburgers, hot dogs, and French fries. Many Americans are fat. Perhaps this is because they eat too much fast food. These days, many families in America do not eat dinner together. Sweet foods like pies and ice cream are popular. An ice cream shop began in one American state. But more and more people are interested in healthy eating. They choose foods that are better for them. Or they decide to stop eating meat. If you visit the USA, you can enjoy an American breakfast. People can add their own topping to their food. Americans also drink a lot of coffee. People from around the world can enjoy American coffee in chain coffee shops. What else can you drink that is really American? Coca-Cola was first made by someone's name in 1,886 characters. Today, it is sold in almost every country. Coca-Cola is one of the best-known words in the world. You can also find good American wine. This comes from the West Coast, especially California. However, people are not allowed to buy alcohol until they are 21. In many states, you cannot smoke in places like bars, restaurants, and places of work. In the past, during a set amount of years, it was illegal to drink alcohol at all in the USA. But many people still wanted to drink it, so criminals brought alcohol into the country and made a lot of money. In American restaurants, you can eat food from different countries. For example, you can eat Chinese, Mexican, and Italian food. The immigrants who came to the USA brought their own favorite foods with them. These then changed into new styles of cooking that are special to the USA. There are also more specific places you can find throughout the USA. Chapter 12. Music from America. People all over the world listen to American music. It began with the songs of Black American slaves. Black slaves in the South sang work songs and religious songs. When the slaves got their freedom after the Civil War, they began to tell their own stories in music. This music was called the blues. It was popular in the area around the Mississippi River. The songs tell a sad story of hard work and danger. At the beginning of the 1900s, Black people moved from the South to the North to find work. They took their music with them. They lived in cities. Musicians like Another Musician were the first to use electric guitars. Records of the blues became very popular when singers became famous. In the 1950s, someone's name was the first white singer to sing music that came from the blues. In the 1960s, soul music was born from the old-style blues. There were singers. Another city had motor car factories. It gave a name to soul music. People all over the world listened to soul singers. In the 1960s and 70s, jazz music was born. Musicians became famous. Jazz music became popular across the world. An American person thought jazz was an important part of American life. He used it in music.
During the Second World War, American soldiers brought music to.
Now, names of great jazz musicians are known all over the world. People write, sing, and play jazz in many countries. New is the home of a variety of music from different cultures. The city was damaged badly, but people still come every year to play in the New Orleans Jazz Festival. Another popular kind of American music is country. One singer has also appeared in films. Another musician was still popular when he died. A film told the story of his early life. In the 1990s, a new kind of music became popular. This music was called rap. It told of a dangerous life. Rappers do not sing. Instead, they talk very fast over music. There are some famous rappers. Chapter 13. Some Great American Cities. Some of America's greatest cities are on the Atlantic coast. One of these cities is in the Northeast. The fight for independence began there in the 1700s. Not far away is a city. The oldest university in the USA is there. The famous science place is there. A famous family lived in this city. They became very rich. Someone became president of the United States. He and his wife were young and popular. Sadly, he was shot and killed. Another city is the biggest city in the USA. It is a great place for theater, shopping, and restaurants. It is also the home of a building. Sadly, 2 planes flew into these buildings, and many people were killed. Another building is now the most famous tall building in the city. The Statue of Liberty is a favorite place for tourists. It was a present from the people of another country. Many visitors go there just to shop. There are many stores there. Other attractions also include museums and areas to see shows. The capital city of the USA is also a city. The city's most beautiful houses are in an old area. Much further south are the cities. Away from the coast is a city. It is known for cold winds that blow in from a place. Today, a tall building is in the city. It is the tallest building in the USA. An artist who made beautiful houses worked in this city. Out west is another city. One place started the fashion for coffee shops here. It was the home of music from bands. An important man was born in that city. Programs and films are made about the city. The city has become crowded and more expensive. Another city is full of casinos. People win and lose money playing there. Chapter 14. California. More people live in California than in any other state. California is very large. It is a state of differences. California is a hot and dry place, but the north of the state is cold and wet. The tall trees grow in the north. California grows a lot of fruit and vegetables. It is also famous for its factories. People started their business in one city is one of the most beautiful cities in the world. Long ago, people came here to look for gold. Jeans were made there. The city grew fast. The city was destroyed during the early years of the 1900s, but continues to have a large population. Another city is big. It can take hours to drive from one side to the other. The number of cars means that the city has a problem. Crime is a problem in some parts of the city. A lot of the people in California work in the film industry. The first film was made in this area. There are also many movie sets, theme parks, and tourist traps.
Chapter 15, Beautiful Places to Visit.
The USA has some of the biggest cities in the world. This means that there are also some very empty places. These places have not changed much. The government has kept some of them as national parks. These are beautiful places where people are not allowed to build. Many artists have photographed the beautiful parks of America. One artist was born in San Francisco. He liked places. Traveling to the USA, you come to a place that travels north from California. You come to other states. These states have big forests and high mountains. You will find a number of national parks there. The Rocky Mountains are in some states. They are great for holidays. Visitors enjoy things like walking, climbing, fishing, and horse riding. You can also enjoy winter sports. The only big city is in the Rockies. There is also a place in the Rocky Mountains. It is famous for a stream that shoots water into the air. Another capital city is next to a lake. The lake is saltier than the sea. If you swim in it, you will float. South of the Rockies is the desert, where the land has colors. The most famous place is the river valley. This river valley was cut into the rock many years ago. You can walk down to the river, but it will take 2 days. Another dry state is hard for farming, but many artists have come from other parts of America to live there. There is a place where visitors can remember the battles from history. There are also famous carvings. Other cities and countries meet at bodies of water. These bodies of water are an important route for ships traveling. There are famous waterfalls there. There are many cities and places to visit within the USA. A state is home to a capital and other landmarks, and bodies of water. Chapter 16. Hot and cold, big and small. A city is called the Sunshine State. It is warm and sunny. Oranges grow there. Visitors come to enjoy beach holidays. They can also visit a tourist trap. There is also a place. The land is wet. There are many plants, animals, and birds that are not found anywhere else in America. The place is popular with older people. This means more houses and roads. Building them has destroyed a lot of the land. There are more factories. Some people are angry because this beautiful state is losing birds and animals. This happens because of dirty air and water. A cold, lonely place is the largest state. This place is separated by other states and Canada. People made money from fishing and hunting. Gold was found there too. Today, it is important for its oil. A high mountain is in this place. A great way to travel there is by boat. Most visitors go in summer. In winter, it is very cold. It is dark for most of the day. If you are lucky, you will see lights. A place is the second biggest state. There are cowboys who work there. The modern state is rich because of its oil.
The smallest state is a state of a place. It is to the east of another place. In one place, there are big music festivals each year.
A city is the capital, also famous for its music. Singers and musicians all sang there. The islands are far away from the other states. Many Americans go there to enjoy the beaches and sunshine. Although there are a lot of tourists, you can escape to quieter places. You can see trees, waterfalls, plants, and birds. There are more places to visit in the USA than will fit into one story. Choose what you like: a busy city or a quiet park, cold mountains or warm sea, shopping or sports. Plan your own American journey.